Great, I'll get us started. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Alex, and I'm the technical manager for this Learning Lab session entitled Designing an Innovation Ecosystem for Food Systems, Linking Research and Incubation. We have a wonderful group of facilitators joining us today from Nepal, Humana Palm, Januka Dal, and Govinda Taman. We're really glad to have them here and really excited to have you here participating in this lab. I want to thank you for taking the time to participate today and offer a quick reminder about some technical aspects of this session before we get started. First, this session will be recorded and posted to the ANH Academy website before the end of the conference. And second, while all of you have been muted upon entry, we really encourage you to introduce yourselves using the chat feature. You can just say your name, where you're joining us from, and the organization that you support. If your bandwidth allows, we encourage you to share your webcam video. And if you have any questions throughout the session, we invite you to share them in the chat or with your mic if invited by the facilitators. And lastly, if at any point you experience any technical issues, you're able to leave the session and rejoin it. Or if there's other issues that arise, you can just send me a private message in the Zoom chat. So thanks again for being here. I'm really excited for this session, and we'll hand it over to the facilitators to take us forward. Over to
Hello,
you,
thank
Huma
you.
and
Thanks,
team.
Alex. Should we start? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on wherever you are joining from. And thank you, ANH Academy, for this opportunity, and thank you everyone for joining here today. I'm Humane Upane. I'm working as at Research Directorate of Tribhuvan University, and I'm joining here together with Professor Dr. Govinda Tamang, who is also the Director of Business Incubation Center at School of Management of Tribhuvan University. And we have with us Januka Dahal, a faculty member of Horticulture at Institute of Agriculture and Animal Science, Gaurada campus of Tribhuvan University. So today's learning lab is about designing innovation ecosystems for food systems, linking research, incubation, and extension in Nepal. So over next, Januka, can you share the slide, please?
Yes, ma'am. I was about to ask you.
Okay, because all of three of us are from distant places. So I welcome all of you to here. So regarding today's learning lab,
Is it visible?
yeah, yes, thanks, Januka, again. Uh, so over next 1 hour, we will be exploring about a simple looking but important issue, or just say a question. Why do some innovations or inventions create a meaningful impact while others do not? Most of them are just confined to research papers, pilot projects, or demonstration plots. So we will have interactive sessions, we will have live polls, we will have breakdown sessions, and we will have opportunities to learn from each other experiences. So before we begin, so next slide please, Anuka. Before we begin, I would like to think something from your own experience too. Just think of any technology or innovation or research finding. Just you can think any of them. It can be like any intervention finding, it can be an extension approach, or it can be any technology that has been developed or generated to help people. But these technologies do not actually reach to the people. You can for next slide please. But these technology actually do not reach to the people. For example, the technologies are generated for the farmers, but they do not reach to the farmers. What might be, may be the reason? What do you think may be the reason? You can just put it on the chat box, please. We have 15 seconds of time. You can put your response to the chat box. Why do you think the innovations do not reach to the farmers? I just want to see your response on the chat box. Yeah, most of the responses, as I see, are related to the issues like that they have not been appropriately designed, or they may be due to cost, or mm, so without users' inputs. Yes, these may be also the reasons. Yes, of course, limited support from the government. Yes, so from here we can see that all these reasons may be because of complex system. From innovation to adoption, there are various stages which again enters to a complex system. So we can see that it is all related to the system. So this observation forms a foundation for our today's discussion as we see. So next slide, please. Why we are here, if we think about this context, we see that we have research which generates knowledge, and we have innovations which transforms these knowledge into practical solutions. And then there is adoption occurring when people begin to use those solutions. And then there is impact when the people use those solutions and improve their livelihoods, or there is improvement in nutrition, resilience, productivity, or well being of the people. So, if we see simply, this looks very straightforward, but if it was really truly that much straightforward, every innovation should have succeeded for its purpose, and every effective, every promising technology would have been widely adopted. But we see that even the technology is promising, they are not being adopted appropriately. So it we know that it is not the reality that this relation is this straightforward. That is why I have put the question marks there in the gaps, because there is gap in that exists between each stages. So today's this the session is about to understand the gaps and explore how innovation ecosystem can help to bridge these gaps here. So next slide, please. So if we talk about the food system challenge, before entering the discussion on the innovation ecosystem, as I talked before, I think that it would be good to understand the broader challenges. Food system around the globe, as we see, is under pressure because of increasing population. Global food demand is expected to increase remarkably in coming decades, and we also cannot deny the climatic variability affecting agriculture production. Natural resources like water, land, and are increasingly becoming constrained day by day with this increasing population and competition for various uses also. And at the same time, the technologies adoption also remains irregular among the beneficiaries. So many of the proven innovations never reach any scale, and these pressures do not occur separately, but they occur simultaneously. This is why I want to say that there is relationship among components, and which is not again straightforward. So this means that food system requires solution that are coordinated, integrated, and adaptive. So food systems a successful food system must be able to achieve, as we say in the graph, it must be able to achieve multiple objectives at the same time. It should be able to contribute to nutrition. It should be able to improve livelihood of people. It must enhance productivity, and it should be able to enhance productivity, and then promote equity and inclusion of the people, of all social groups of the people, especially in context of countries like Nepal, where various types of social groups exist here. And it at the same time it should also uh, it should also strengthen the climate resilience. So there are a lot of the objectives, and these objectives are obviously not they cannot be fulfilled with the through only one single organizations, and we need a lot of organization. That is why there is a role of innovation ecosystem, because again we need a lot of organizations here. So from the slide here, we have two slides here, just to create a data story. We can see that from the aspect of GDP, and also um, the percentage of population being engaged in agriculture. Looking closer to the comparing with Nepal, we are comparing Nepal with other countries in similar context. The graph on the left side shows the proportion of employment that still depends on agriculture, and on the right side it is the contribution of agriculture to GDP. It can be agreed that economy is gradually diversifying, but still agricultural activities continues to play important role in livelihoods of economic activity. So for millions of agriculture, millions of population in Nepal, they are still dependent on agriculture as a source of income and employment. And with this data, we can easily guess that performance of agriculture is not only an agricultural issue, but it is also related to the economic development, and even poverty reduction and food security as well. So uh, this is why in agriculture context, innovation is important, and innovation within agriculture is important. And that is again it raises the question, are we investing enough for the innovation purpose? So let's move to next slide. Here we see in the figure that this graph shows the overall expenditure in research and development. What we can highlight from this figure is that we can see the graph of Nepal is at the bottom, and it means that Nepal invests considerably much lower than other countries uh, which have successfully transformed themselves in a case of agriculture system. But this does not mean that there lack of skilled researcher, or there are lack of innovative ideas. Rather, I just want to focus here that innovation system requires sustained investment, and research requires funding, and human capital also requires investment. Innovations requires institutions and long-term commitment. Without such investments, it would be difficult to generate and adapt scale innovations effectively. This challenge is not only about producing knowledge, but also sustaining an environment where innovation can flourish. So, while moving to next slide again, uh, the investment is limited. If the investment is limited, we expect that the outcome would also be limited. So, in this graph, uh, we have used high technology export as one of the indicator of innovation performance. So research leads to innovation, and here, although this might not be the perfect measure, but we assume that this can be a proxy measure for innovation, the technological developments. So it provides indication of how effectively countries can translate knowledge into products, services, or any other economic value. Countries with a strong innovation system can perform well, while if they have weaker innovation system, they need to struggle more to move their ideas beyond research to make them to a practical application. So this relation between investment and output helps us to explain the path of Nepal challenge. but investments are not only the complete story, because if adoption is limited, there's again issue. So again, next for going the next slide, please, Januka. So with this, uh, I would like to hand over this floor to Professor uh, Dr. Tamang to continue about Nepal's innovation paradox and continue the explanation about the ecosystem of innovation. Over to you, Dr.
Mm.
Tamang.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Huma. So, good morning, good afternoon, everyone there. So, I'm from Business Incubation Center at Tribhuvan University. So, it's my pleasure to talk about innovations, especially from the management perspective as well, though we talk about food system, right? So, as we all know about innovation, adding something value, adding value to some existing product or services that we all know. So Dr. Huma has already talked about a lot of things about, investment gap, innovations gap and all. So however, I would like to bring some situations here. For example, if you look at the data structures regarding agriculture and its contributions to our GDP in Nepal, and if you look at the percentage of populations in Nepal, it's about 60 to 66 percentage of the people populations in Nepal contributing directly or indirectly in the field of agriculture, right? So, however, the contribution to GDP is all about, like one third of total GDP in this country. So it means that, yeah, we can see a lot of people involving in subsistence, agriculture. So that's how everybody said that, yeah, agriculture is very important and which will be the baseline for, overcoming the, let's say, to reduce the, poverty level of Nepal. And if you think about the research, of course, we have got, national level system where we have like, private business institutions. They are running their, like incubation center as well. Not only that, of course, we have got ministries. For example, the present government has formed Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry for the first time in Nepal. So you will be amazing to know about, okay, yeah, government has got very good policy of the innovations. However, as Dr. Huma already shared about there has been little investment, right? So it really leads to, paradox because conflicting situations in order to, create the impactful, impact to the farmers, especially those people who are really depending on the farming job, right? And talking about technology, yeah, she has already talked about technological adoptions as well, right? So, to my experience, even we have been able to develop some apps, for example, for the cardamom, right, in eastern part of Nepal. So we have got certain apps that has been developed to track the value chain of our, cardamom that is being especially, exported to India, right? So our farmers can have, real time pricing so that they can have very good price for that one. Technology is there. So however, as per our, let's say, target, there has not been that much kind of, adoption to change the livelihood, to change the life of our people, especially those who are really depending on directly on farming, right? So therefore, though, yeah, if you look at the total budgetary system, recently, if I give you some data, it's about Nepali 46.92 billion rupees of Nepali, which comes around 30.9 million US dollar that is being spent in the field of agriculture, right? So it means now this is less amount of investment, of course, as whom already admitted in this gathering, right? So now I'll be, in fact, talking about in the subsequent, talk. I'll be just giving insight about incubation and, of course, some system, what is happening in Nepal. Uh, Next slide, please. Yeah. as you all know, there has been a huge gap in the developing country, underdeveloped country like Nepal. So I could see the, I mean, participants from around the world. And we know commercialization is major thing because if it link it off with the, let's talk about ideation, then phrase incubation, prototype, development, validation, launching the product and commercialization. There are various steps, right? So, however, we cannot have, like proper alignment among different dimensions to create the impact on the life of, on the economy of the farmer. For example, commercializations, yes, we need to learn. To my experience, when I visited some western part of Nepal, I could see, I had a talk to my farmer groups. Yeah, they are growing the fruits, they are growing the things right, but there has not been the support by the, from the local government. There hasn't been proper extension, proper channel system. Yeah, research is there, of course. We have got different research institute under like private institutions, under ministry, of course, under university as well. So, however, there has been weak collaboration among all those entities, right? So it is really giving some problem to farmers, right? Of course, extension talking about, I already communicated. We have got 753 government institutions in Nepal, though it is a very small country, right? So this is all the things. So technology is there, of course, but now, as already Huma said about system, and I could see, some, chat information just before, like. So definitely uh, co-producers with what farmers, idea. It means now we have not been able to, integrate the system to up to our mark level, though we have been struggling a lot in case of Nepal. Next slide, please. Next slide. Well, so it's my pleasure to talk about innovation system, though all of you are well known about innovation, wheel and all. And if you look at, because when I talk about innovation ecosystem, we should never forget about innovations wheel, as you know that. So at the top, you could see institutions and network, which falls under, configuration. Institution, as I already communicated to this gathering, so we have got really good set of institutions, private institutions like Federation of Nepalese Commercial Chambers and Industries, Confederation of Nepalese What Industries, right? Likewise, different institutions, of course, universities, of course, we have got government research, associations as well. And of course, there has been lots of networking platform. For example, we do have certain, industry academia dialogue in the university, right? And even some government institutions are playing that role for the network as well. And the very important thing is that innovations for whom? Innovations for our farmers, innovations for our people. So now, how we have created the good experience for them. For example, how we can engage them from farm to, let's say, market, right? Because this is our job from the university people and from the government people. So from farm to, market, right? So how we have been able to engage them, this is a very big question mark there. Of course, after having the, product branding, for example, in Nepal, there have been lots of coffee farming, right? Because from altitude point of view, very good organic coffee that we can produce here. But however, branding is very big issue problem. So now, yeah, that is also some expense type of the branding experience. Not only that, how about the channel, distribution channel? How to generate the revenue. These things are the very basic, system that we, work here, but there has been not that much, let's say, remarkable achievement from our side. Why? Because there has been a very funding problem with the investment. Though in our university level, university grant commissions and different other, DFIs have been contributing through different NGOs and INGOs as well for startup fund. Like Nepal government has come up with certain startup policy also. And of course, we have got innovations policy also, though now we need to work very hard. So this is all what I'm talking about innovation system in ecosystem in Nepal. Well, next slide, please. Well, as you all know, this is what we have been following in Nepal, of course. Yes. Now here, for example, this is really linear that you could see education to research, industry, extension, farmers, which I have already talked about. And Dr. Huma has already talked about, yeah, innovation is not only one actor, task, right? Multi-actor, multi-perspective should be embedded there. So as you all know that, yeah, of course, in Nepal, we have got universities, yes, like 16, 17 universities, especially dedicated, agriculture university as well. And we have got some government funded, let's say, research institute as well. Well, next slide, please. Well, at last, I would like to provide to my experience and what we could see, observe in Nepal in case of gaps, right? Especially complex system. That's what I observed in the chat box previously when Dr. Huma opened the floor for all of you, right? And especially, we have been struggling for the first one, that is industry academia research, right? I mean, industry academia linkages. You all know triple helix model, right? Because policy, knowledge, and practice. And of course, policy, government has formed, like science, technology, and innovations, like ministry also, of course. And previously, there was also some education ministry look after that one. Of course, we have got like universities and industry, but there have not been specific policy. And Nepal government has come up with 16 plan, and this talks about clear instructions about to form the linkages, right? So now we have been struggling for that one. And for example, other what is limited incubations. To my experience, we also run incubations at Tribhuvan University, especially where I'm looking after. And we already had collaboration with banking sector, right? And banking sector, and then of course that incubation has announced the all fellows from all over the country, and especially not only idea from agriculture sector, even from technical sectors, also from tourism and all, and many ideas come from the agriculture sector, right? And ideation phases, right? So we do give that opportunity, but structure wise we have got certain problem, because throughout the practice, I think you can also share your experience through our chat box as well. In Nepal, there has not been clear distinctions, clear demarcations where incubations falls under. And overall, I could see, and to my experience, university, incubation have to be established in university. So, however, in case of Nepal, incubations till the date, many incubations are under, some of are under the government or some private institutions, right? So now we have really started developing, innovations hub and incubations in the university. Now, this is what the very big, improvement sign that we have been looking about, right? So we say limited incubation, and of course commercializations, which is a very big question mark. So we incubate many ideators, but we have very less amount of them we have been able to commercialize, right? So this is really happens in startups as well. And of course, as I already communicated about weak extension feedback loops, because there have been so many actors, right? Especially local government in the rural setup, local government has to have some, feedback loops. That is what we have been experiencing as a university people. We usually talk with the, local government, and then we provide our feedback, and local government, we always give them some idea about how to integrate our farmers, their product, their product to sell in the market, right? Well, of course, especially in case of Nepal, yeah, we have got different type of policy. As I told you, innovation policy 2019, of course, there. But now that policy has to align with other ministries, universities, business centers, and all. and that has been not clearly, like let's say, uh, I mean, integrated, right? So fragmented institutional coordinations. With this note, I hope now we will be having I mean, discussion sessions as well. So I hope now, Januka, would you please, yeah, take over for the live poll? Yeah,
Uh,
thank you, everyone.
yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tama. Uh, it's me, Januka, from Gauradhoy Agriculture Campus. After this session of Dr. Huma and Dr. Tamang, now we'll have a quick but interactive session using Mentimeter. This is not complicated. You just have to take your phone and scan the QR code given in the screen. I'll share another screen. So let me do that. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So for your information, there is no right or wrong answers. You just have to share your opinion or experiences on it. You just have to take your phone and you scan the QR code to answer the question. The question is, which system is weakest in your context? This is the multiple choice question, and the options are education, research, industry, incubation, extension, and policy coordination. You can see responses live here on the chat. You will get about 45 seconds to respond the answer. Interesting. We are getting responses here, and I hope you all are seeing responses live on the screen. So the option policy coordination is leading here. We have got 13 responses. We expect more responses on it. Is this all? Or if
In
you
the
are
interest
facing
of
any
time,
trouble on
you should probably move on, I think, in the interest of time.
Yeah, okay. If you're facing any trouble on scanning the QR code, please raise your hand on chat box. You can enter the code if it's not working.
Probably we can move ahead now, Januka, because of time limitations.
Okay, then policy coordination wins, followed by the extension. So to the second question, you again have to scan the QR code given on the screen to answer the question. This is also the multiple choice question, and the question is, if you could invest in only one component, where would you invest first? And the options are education, research, industry, incubation, extension, and policy coordination. I think 45 seconds will be enough for this because we are already familiar about the pattern. This is faster. So education. is winning, followed by research. So I think these are the all responses. So education wins here, followed by extension and researches. So Dr. Neupanya and Dr. Tamang, would you like to discuss on the options or results that uh, we have got?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Thank you, Januka, for this poll. So, with this result, what we see is that while we were talking about the weakest part, most of us agreed that policy coordination is the weakest part. But while we want to invest highest, we here agree with mostly with the research and extension. So this shows that there is again a complex system. So one is the weaker part, and then you want to make investment on the other part. This shows that innovation is not that easy, as we are thinking, is not that straightforward as we are thinking. So there is a system, a gap, and then there is a gap on investments, and that is there's gap on understanding on where the investment should be made and what is the weaker session, and which weaker session should be prioritized for innovation. So this might be the reason, why, as we saw in our first question, what would be the reason that the innovation don't reach to the farmers. So most of us said that because the they are not co-created. It means that there is weaker linkage between extension and the farmers. There weaker linkage between the research and the farmers. Uh, the actual farmer problems are not being performed research, and that's why the innovations are not uh, useful for the farmers. Maybe the one reason, but again, another reason may be that the research activities are not appropriately being extended to the farmers. So with this, we can see that the system is quite complex, and that's why we need to make appropriate investment on knowing what is going on and where the investment should be made and how the investment should be made, so that there could be appropriate collaborations, appropriate cohesion among between the research and the various linkage, research and then education and then extension and then policymakers and then farmers. So from here even we can see the differences between the results from the two pollings. uh, Now probably we will have discussions on breakout sessions. So Januka, can you explain the breakout sessions, please?
Sure. So I think we'll be dividing groups here, and then I'll share another slide. Please let me do it.
Januka, can I suggest, in the interest of time, that we have a big group conversation instead of breakout rooms and all stay together?
Uh, what do you say, Dr. Huma?
This is Alex
Yeah,
from A&H Academy saying we should stay together instead of doing breakout rooms, if
So I
that's okay.
think this is great
yeah,
idea, Alex.
yeah. This will also be working. So we can do the polling session here again, Januka. Then we can continue with
Okay,
the
okay,
polling
then
session
great.
here in this session.
Great. I'll share the screen again, and you just have to follow the same pattern. You just have to, there are four tasks. One task is identify key actors, another is identify weakest linkage, identify priority investment is task three, and fourth task is propose one action to improve research uptake. So again, you just have to scan the QR code here and then post your response. So this is not like multiple choice question. You have to write your thought or your opinion on it.
This will be related to your context. So
Yes.
what are the key
Previously, we
actors
have
of
thought of,
innovation?
sorry, previously we have thought of dividing the groups, so responses might be limited here. I think we can address only 10 to 15 responses here. So if it's being individual, then we can address only limited number of responses. So first come will get priority.
Januka, could you give people examples of what you might like them to say?
Like based on this session, you have to identify the key actors for the innovation and linking the researches. And you just have to like we have got one response here, like the key actors, policymakers, funders, and community. Like that, you just can write your response, and this will be broadcasted live. Great, we are getting responses here. The key actors is policymakers, funders, and community. Second one is people working in food processing, policymakers, farmers, and extension agents, researchers, government, industry, and farmers. We expect more responses like this. So the researchers, policymakers, extension officers, farming communities, interesting. I
I
think this will
wonder
support
if
only limit.
could
Sorry.
we, Januka, could we invite people to share with their microphone and explain what specifically they mean by one of these things? Maybe if you can raise
Sure,
your Zoom
sure. We
hand
can.
and then we can call on
Yeah,
you.
yeah, we can do that. So if please raise your hand who want to share it first.
Yeah, Nola, we can go to you.
Yeah, I was thinking about just based on some of the other learning labs we had this morning, people working across the value chain and those who are working in food processing as kind of important areas where there's a lot of ability to innovate in different products and different food items. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Great. Others?
Yeah, Claudette?
Hi, thank you. Collaborative groups is very important because in order to get, I would say, anything done in terms of research, policies, etc., working collaboratively with government and stakeholders, that remains critical so that the objective can be accomplished. So collaboration is very critical.
Thank you. Next one.
I'm wondering
Anyone?
if the person who shared about extension agents would be willing to raise their hand and share. It's just a really important group of people in agriculture. Maybe we could hear more about that.
The person who have responded, extension agents and government farmers.
Yes, we have Flora, and then we can go to the rest. Flora, please.
Flora, you need to unmute yourself first.
Okay, we can't hear you. Flora, please go.
Yeah, so my name is Flora. I'm from Nigeria. So I'm saying if extension workers are being funded to carry out some researches in the area of agriculture and innovation, that way they will make their findings and then extend these findings to the local farmers. That way, this innovation can be adopted. That way, we can have good agricultural outputs. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there are some other persons who have raised the hand, but I'm not being able to see the name here.
So it's Ifioma. I hope I'm saying your name right.
Yes, you're very correct. So I would also want to add to what the previous speaker said about extension agents. What we usually tell our students, extension agents are the to um, key actors. I would always say that they're the key actors within the agricultural innovation system, in addition to other ones, because they relate directly with the farmers. And so when they get all that information from the research institutions and also from the universities, but basically from the research institutions, they take the information or innovation to the farmers in ways the farmers can understand them. And then when the farmers have any issues, they take it back to the extension agents, and then the extension agents take it back to the research institutions for the innovation to be modified in such a way that the farmers would easily comprehend and use it. Again, extension agents work together with the farmers because you cannot co-create. We're talking about co-creating technologies or innovations. Yeah. So you need the extension agents who are very close to the farmers and who take this information and help the farmers in the adoption process to work together with the farmers to co-design, to co-create along with the researchers and of course, the founder, especially when we have a funded project. So we need the extension agents to work together with the farmers and then with the research people to co-create whatever innovation that would meet the needs of the farmers. So for me, extension agents are very key within the innovation system. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, you are quite right, Ifoma. So we have next one, probably the last one, Kuzdai.
Thank you. What I say builds on what Ifoma said, that we work in very complex systems where there's a lot that needs to come together to make something work. So even if you've got something that's really great, the number of things that are outside the farmer's control, whether it's policy, whether it's transport, whether it's financing, that need to come together for an innovation to work, are often outside our control, and we can never really make them come together. So the extension agents need to build on what's working already. Because if they know how to identify what's working, that which has worked is working in a complex system. So that is what they need to scale up, especially in lower income countries where the policy environment is very complex, and getting a system to change can be a lot. Even in that, there are people who are succeeding, and the extension agent needs to identify those people and build and learn what made them succeed in such a complex environment, and then be able to scale up that approach. That's our lesson and what we try and build on.
Thank
Thanks,
you. I think
thanks, Kuzdai. And we'll be moving forward again. Sanuka, can we move forward? And we will be discussing all these discussions at the last again.
okay, Dr. Kuma. I'll move to the next task. And the task two is just like the task one. You have to identify the weakest linkage. You have to follow the same pattern. You just have to scan the QR code here and post your response. it will be broadcasted live here. We got the first response here. The weakest link is financing. I expect more.
And just like before, you can also raise your Zoom hand and share
Ma'am
more about.
Ano, excuse me.
Mhm.
Identify weakest linkage is mean about interest research or what the about the is the interest research or what about the thinking research in future?
It's about what is the weakest link is that is prohibiting to reach the research to the farmers or the innovation to the farmers to adapt for the outcome. Did you get that?
Yeah. Okay, I see about it mean Indonesia like tajuk topics of the research. Mem Huma.
Yeah, pardon?
The topic of research.
Okay.
The topic of research.
Yeah,
We
research
have
is
got.
also
Dr. Huma, please proceed. I interrupted you, sorry.
yeah, it's okay. Probably we need to go to next question again because of time limitations. Probably Alex, how many time we have left now?
The session will wrap up in 8 minutes, so we could maybe
Okay.
hear from
Okay, we have got.
one person from this, if one person wants to share on their microphone, and then we can go forward. And if not, that's okay too.
We have got 11 responses. Anyone?
Well, there's a lot of great responses in the Mentimeter, so I think we can move forward to the next one.
Okay. So thank you for participating in this task. So next task is identify priority investment. You again have to follow the same procedure to respond this question.
And to help spark some thinking here, maybe another way to frame this
It means that
is around what areas in your country do you think could have better investment for better outcomes and innovation to help link people who are innovators with people who are adopters? So we had great examples from Extension earlier, and I'm wondering if those folks or others, want to share what they think about in their country could be improved with investment around innovation.
thanks, Alex, for
So
clarifying again.
we have got only 2 responses till now. I think participants are thinking and responding.
So I wonder if Flora or Ifuma or others have any thoughts on this. Kudzai is also sharing in the chat.
Yes. Yes, these responses are quite obvious and these are genuine ones. So once we finish all the questions and then we will be wrapping up together, mm, combining all of these together again.
So anyone here want to take microphone to explain the answer? I think we can proceed with that. So we
Dr.
have got
Govinda, can you
12
explain
responses.
more?
Please, Uma, proceed.
Yes. Probably Dr. Tamang will be explaining on this context because I can see his name in the chat box.
Oh, yeah, I'm just
He's tracking.
trying to give responses to some of the chats there. So, Dr. Huma, I'm just trying to give some responses on the chat, right?
Okay.
Yeah, please carry on.
Okay.
So we have got
Okay.
14 responses. Rama.
We can move forward again.
Rama raised
Oh, mm.
the hand. Please proceed, Rama.
Hi, I'm Rahma from Tanzania. I'm a nutrition officer. So, one of the priority investment that will be work in our country is one of it to find a easy way to connect those people, especially in the rural area, in terms of technology. That many innovators are coming up with something which is not even work in the place where there is maybe not have access to the technology issues, electricity. So they should have something which can be easy used by those who are going to adapt, especially the rural areas where those farmers are located there. But also to have a training that is aligned with those people who are going to use that the things that innovator are developed, especially though I'm talking about the rural areas where are in need of those ideas that we are coming up with them. So we find a good way to address what they have to those local people in order now to understand. And they can use those local leaders and other peoples who are most famous in those areas so that people can accept that sometimes it might be a new thing because people then they see it for the first time. So but if we use the local leaders, community health workers and other peoples who are in those areas, it can be easy for people to adapt to that. But also the things are a priority thing should be also include the issue of climatic and other issues, seasonal change and cultural barriers also. Sometimes you might people come with the good things, but the culture of that particular is not aligned with that innovation idea. So it's very important to focus on that areas and to prioritize that interventions.
Yeah, this is quite right. We'll be making final discussions again. Januka, can you proceed with last question?
Sure, Dr. Huma. So the last task is propose one action to improve research uptake. You again have to follow the same procedure. We are expecting more responses as we are already familiar about this process. So first response, research. Improved communication and dissemination. We are expecting more responses on this task.
And Huma and team just wanted to share that we are at the end of time for this learning lab. So while people
Mhm.
are sharing, if you could offer some concluding remarks, I think that'd be
Oh,
very
okay.
helpful, and then we'll conclude
Yeah.
shortly after.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Dr. Tamang. Thank you, Zandika, and thank you all the participants for the wonderful responses. So, with all these responses, what we see that with the four questions, while we were talking about the four questions about the actors, weakest linkage, and priority investment, and then actions to improve uptake, we see that every part starts from education, and then education is important, research is also important, extension is important, and to reach the farmers. So what here we can see that the education system must be connected with research, and they must be connected with the incubation centers, so that even there should be collaboration between research, innovation centers, and education, so that and even extension, so that the extension workers will bring the exact problems to the research centers, and research centers will be performing research on what is the exact problem from the starting what we were discussing, and those research will be based on actual needs of the farmers, and they will be then taught to the students, and those students will be working on those innovative ideas to use them on the practical actions again when they start their career. In this way, probably we can create a linkage where the research activities can reach the farmers, and even the students, they can change their mentality from being service seeker to become entrepreneurs or innovators, so that even the other farmers can also be benefited, and they'll also be creating jobs for other people too. So probably every stakeholders, including education, research, industry, extension, and policy makers, as we have discussed during these sessions, are important, and probably this would be our key takeaway, that innovation is a system, not a single activity, and success needs a stronger institutional linkage, and research must connect to practice, and the collaborations is critical. So probably this will be uh, all from our side. So if you have any questions to us, please. And with this, I thank you all the team for being here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Huma, Januka, and Govinda. We really appreciate this lab today, and hearing so many great things, in the chat and over the microphone with those who joined. So thank you again so much. Just want to remind you about what Joe shared in the chat. If you're interested in continuing these conversations, because we only had an hour today, you can go on the community part of our website to find some folks that joined this call, to find others in ANH Academy community, to continue these conversations and continue working together. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to close the Zoom now, and just want to say again, I really appreciate you being here. It's a great session.